Hey everyone, Anthony here. Sorry for the lack of videos. Actually, I don't know when this video is gonna go up, but sorry that there's been like a couple weeks span without videos. I'm trying to deal with all this court case stuff. My motions, like my motion to dismiss and my motions to suppress my past irrelevant stuff or whatever. Uh, I was supposed to get a reply by February 19th from the judge on if he'll grant my motions or not. That never happened. I'm asking like their law clerks or whatever. That never. I didn't get a response from them. And then I was supposed to have today's February 20th. I was supposed to have a hearing. I'm supposed to have a hearing February 22nd. They're like, yeah, you're not scheduled for next week. And my trial was scheduled for March 8th. So I asked him, like, is my trial still scheduled for March 8th? And they didn't reply or anything. It's always like I'm taking off all this time from making videos and preparing for court and everything, and that's kind of what's going on. I hate doing that. I hate that that's happening. But anyway, like this video, let me take a little sippy before we get into it. And sorry, this is filmed in my car again too. It's where I get some quiet time to concentrate and talk. But yeah, like my parents as a kid, oh, my family too, like when I was a kid, and it's kind of like part of me sometimes feels like, oh, you shouldn't be making videos about this, just let it go and focus on work and focus on cryptocurrency and stuff like that. But this stuff is important, and I think, or I hope that it will help people in the future, anyone that watches this, I guess, seeing that it's not right what happened, and that people aren't alone, I guess, and maybe show people not to treat people like this. But yeah, it was like being raised by ghosts as a kid, like zero attention from my parents, never being played with or anything. Like I just sat in my room all the time. I was actually just thinking, because I was at the tanning salon, and I think I spoke about this before, but I go tanning sometimes for like, because sunlight is like the best source of vitamin D, and I don't get out of the house like too much enough to I don't get it out of the house enough to get enough vitamin D. It definitely helps with psoriasis that I have or whatever. I went in there and I'm like, oh, you guys should get puppies, because I've been watching T. Martin YouTube channel with his dog Cooper and Coda and his girlfriend and everything, and they have so much fun playing with puppies. I'm like I want to go into, and this place also is like, they're thinking they struggle to find ways to bring customers back and whatever. And I think maybe that's like one of the things that initially brought this in my head was like, oh, if they just had puppies, I'd be so happy to see them that I just want to come back in all the time and just get tanning memberships just to play with the puppies. I didn't say that to the woman in there, but I walked in, I'm like, oh, you guys should get puppies for me to play with when I come in. And so then we were talking about dogs or whatever, but then this is the important part of this story. But let me pause for a second so I can think of it. Oh yeah, in our conversation about puppies or whatever, she's like, oh, like I want to get I would get a dog, but I just can't put myself through like putting another dog down. And I said like, oh, when I was a kid, like I was like 16 when we put our dog down, and it didn't really affect me. And I was like, oh, I think it's because like I just knew it was something we had to do, so it didn't affect me. But then after I left, or actually while I was in the tanning booth tanning, I was thinking like, that's not the truth. That's not what happened. Like I wasn't allowed to have feelings or be a kid or anything. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to have fun or have feelings or have emotion or connection or anything like that, or attention or any of that. And I think that's why I was unaffected when we had to put down my dog, because I kind of just like internalized all that and kept everything in. And the same too with like breakups with girlfriends or whatever. Like when I went to talk about it with my mom, my first girlfriend, when I was 21, she's just like, oh, get over it, like she's stupid or whatever. And I get that maybe like she's trying to help, but that's really not helpful. Like I made like other videos talking about like ways that are actually helpful with that, but just to be so cold and empty, like it's really just like being raised by ghosts, like parents that are not there. And there were times like my father would take me fishing, like maybe 2 times during the summer we would go fishing, but we had such a terrible connection because of all the beatings and punishments and screaming and everything. Like, I didn't wanna talk to him or anything, and it wasn't really about him taking me fishing wasn't really about me. It's not what I wanted to do or anything like that. It wasn't about doing something that I wanted to do and having fun and playing with me or anything. It was about him. Like, he liked going fishing and everything like that. Uh, and yeah, like, and with like schoolwork or homework or anything, or well, definitely like homework and stuff like that, I could never even think of asking my parents for help with schoolwork or anything. That's why I never did homework at home. Like, well, one, because I was so depressed, I didn't want to do any of the work, and I couldn't really ask my parents for help or anything either. But yeah, I couldn't ask my parents for help with schoolwork or anything. I was afraid, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I was afraid to ask my father how to shave. And when I started getting like face hair or whatever, beard hair, I couldn't, I was afraid to ask him how to shave and to teach me to shave, because I guess like I felt like I was a inconvenience to them. Like, if they don't wanna play with me or give me attention or, like, just ignore me, well, then, I'm an inconvenience to them, so just asking would just make me an inconvenience. But, yeah, like, I had facial hair and it went, like, months, like, my parents never said anything, and I ended up like, I was working at a grocery store and ended up buying my own razor, and I don't remember how I learned to shave. It definitely wasn't my father that taught me. Maybe just from like watching other people shave, or I think the shaving commercials actually, because you would see the Gillette shaving commercials showing them stroke down their face, putting on shaving cream and stroke down their face. I think the commercial is actually what raised me, which, yeah, I remember too, like for so long. I know I definitely talked about this, but just being raised by Google, like I would have to search for answers to all my problems and stuff, and the problems or the solutions that I was coming up with in Google weren't really the greatest problems, like, or greatest solutions, like especially with like dating advice and all that, like these players or pickup artists or whatever. uh it's crazy. uh and then like advice on how to get your ex-girlfriend back and all this stuff. It's not very not very good advice. But and also with school, like the bad connection with my parents, I couldn't ask them for advice with relationships I had at school or anything like that. So yeah, it's just I I was raised by ghosts.